thank you for joining us today. You're listening to Pet EDU, and I'm your host, Mary Obadier. This is Society Bites Radio, social interaction for the mind and soul. My guest today is back for a third time, and I couldn't be happier. I love talking with her. You may even want to go back and check out my other interviews with her. In the first one, we talked about missing pet prevention for pet sitters, and our second interview was on the importance of identification for pets. Brigid Wasson is a lifetime animal care and welfare professional and retired animal shelter director. She became interested in missing pet prevention and recovery in 2008 when she discovered the nonprofit organization Mission Reunite. In 2014, she was invited to join the board of directors and has served as president of the organization since 2016. She also has been a professional pet sitter since 1994. And by the way, she is out doing some pet sits today. So if you hear some noise in the background, that's what that is. And in this show, we are going to be talking about estate planning for pets, which is something one of my recent clients was concerned with. Also, if you are a professional pet sitter business owner, you will want to listen to Bridget's advice on preparing backup procedures for your business in case something would happen to you. Welcome back to the show, Bridget.
Thank you, Mary. I'm so pleased to be with you here today to talk about these important topics.
Well, I'm so glad you approached me about them because they are important, and I really, really enjoy talking to you. But for those who may not have heard your other two interviews, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, as Mary said, I am a professional pet sitter and have been involved in animals in some way or another all my life. It's very important to me, the subject of missing pet prevention and recovery, but also many other aspects of rescue and care. And an important part of this is also caring about people, about helping people keep pets in their homes, and also in the case of what we're going to talk about today, for folks to have peace of mind for what will happen to their pets if something happens to them.
Well, I wanted to ask you, I follow you on Facebook, and you lately have been posting some pictures of some cute cats. And I wanted to know, are those your kitties or are those kitties that you're taking care of?
Well, we have a little bit of both. On my Good Dogs Pet Sitting page, I do get a lot of pictures of all the cute kitties and puppies that I do take care of. But you've probably seen my latest new kitten. Her name is Delia. That's short for special delivery. She is a little kitten. I was not planning on getting another cat, but she was very sickly. And she just ran up to me as I was out on my rounds, and I couldn't resist. I picked her up and took her home, and she's now growing and getting healthy, and she's hilarious. So you can see her pictures on my Facebook and Instagram pages.
Yes, I see her walking around your shoulder and your neck and just picking herself at home.
Yeah, she's a shoulder kitty.
Aw. Well, before we get started, I want to say that we are not giving legal or financial advice. We are only discussing our experiences and concerns. We advise you to seek your own professional counsel. So let's dive right in because you have a lot to share and our time really does go by fast. You wanted to talk about estate planning for pets, and I, for one, can use this. I recently had a client that was new to the area, and she wondered what would happen to their cat if something would happen to them. And I'm not able to take everybody's pets if something were to happen to them. But I referred her to Cat Depot here locally in Bradenton and Sarasota because I knew they had something called a legacy plan. They were happy with that advice and they followed through. I interviewed another professional pet sitter that had to deal with the death of a client, and when that client's cat went to the shelter, she actually went and adopted it. But Bridget, I know that all cases don't have happy endings. I don't know much about estate planning for pets, so I'm going to let you share with us what you know.
Okay, great. So I think number one is that people are afraid to talk about death. It's just not in our culture. We want to be young forever. We don't want to age, and we certainly don't want to die. But it's going to happen to everybody, to state the obvious. And planning will not only help your pets, it will give you peace of mind. Now, unfortunately, I've seen in my shelter work many, many, many times, more than I could count, where someone passed away, even someone who was elderly or ill, and it was not an unexpected death, that the family who was assumed would take care of the pets dropped them off at the nearest shelter.
Mm.
So it can't be assumed that someone who is in your family will take care of your animals or even want anything to do with them. And so it's very important for us to think about a plan. So there's a few things. So as you said, we're not giving legal or financial advice, but it is important for everyone to be aware of these things and to seek their own counsel and make their own decisions. So number one is planning. Whether you're 90 years old or 25 years old, you should have a will and you should have some kind of a plan as to who would take care of your pets if something happened to you. People can pass away at any age. You could be in a car accident. Let's just be real here. We never know what's going to happen. I'm only in my 40s and I have a will and I have life insurance and I'm in good health as far as I know. So I just want that peace of mind to know that my pets will be taken care of.
What if you don't have friends and family? Where do you know where somebody could start to look for someone to take care of their pets? Like places like Cat Depot. Do you have any advice on that?
Sure. And there's a few things that folks need to do. So when you do your will, it all depends on, I did mine through NOLO, self-help law, because it's very basic, but there's many different ways to do a will or a trust. You can also do a trust. And there's some companies that specialize in this. You can look them up, or you can start with NOLO, maybe read a book and just learn a little bit about how these processes work, and then get some professional help to put things together if you have property, if you have children, it depends on how complicated your life is. So when you do that, you are naming a beneficiary to care for your pets. So in my case, I made it really simple. Whoever gets my house and my money also gets my animals. And so but that's where the life insurance comes in, because they'll have money to care for them. And this is how trusts work as well, because you may have somebody you trust who may agree to take your animals, but that can be costly. It may be more than they can afford, not just food, but health care, even routine stuff like dentals can be hundreds of dollars. And so you want to make sure that there's also a financial plan for caring for them. But as you mentioned, Mary, there are some organizations that have plans for pets. And sometimes maybe people don't have children, or they don't have someone that they could really name as a beneficiary or to take care of their animals. So there are some humane societies, rescue groups, things like that do have some plans. But a word of caution, I have seen these things go well and I've seen them go poorly. For example, one shelter that I worked with had a great plan where people would do this and they would pass away, and then their pets were placed in like a foster home or a hospice or whatever you want to call it, because a lot of these pets were older. And that person would be provided with money for the life of the pet through however the structure was set up there. And I saw that work very well, where someone provided loving care in the home, but they didn't have to pay for the medical bills or anything else. Now, on the dark side of that, I saw at another shelter where a wealthy person left her entire estate to a humane society along with her many cats. And instead of placing them, the cats lived at the shelter for years. And eventually, some of them passed away because they were older. But finally, during the time that I was there, the few remaining ones actually went home with their caregivers, which was great. But clearly, that was not what the owner had in mind, was for these cats to live in rooms at an animal shelter for years. So that was not her intention. So it's really important for people to do their due diligence, look into these things, find out exactly how these programs work before they commit to giving a certain amount of money, or in that case, their entire estate to an organization.
Absolutely. I know that when I talked to Cat Depot about their legacy program, they make it a point to make sure that pet gets adopted. They make it a point to do that. So I think that's really good. I don't know what you do, but in my pet sitting business, I recently just started this, and why I didn't do this before. I started, whenever I sign up a new client, I have them sign an emergency document so that if something were to happen to them, what am I supposed to do with your pets? And I don't know if you do that in your practice or not.
No, but that is a great idea because we never know what could happen to any of us. They may just never come home.
Right. And I've heard pet sitters say that that's happened. So,
hmm
well, speaking of pet sitters, let's talk to the pet sitting business owners out there about something that I think about a lot. In fact, I have to share this with you. When I'm riding in the car with somebody and they make a quick turn, especially when it's on my side, all I can think about are the pets in my care. What's going to happen to them if I get in an accident? And I've yelled at people. I'm like, don't turn. I have pets in my care. And I have a friend who knows my keys. She knows where my files are, and she has access to the software. But, it could take a while before she even knew something was wrong, and there could be anxious pets waiting. So share with us your advice on this subject.
So it's super important for us as pet sitters, or I suppose anyone else upon whom others are depending for care, whether pets or people. Many pet sitters are solo or just have a couple people helping them out. So it's not like a big business with an office where you would be immediately missed if something happened to you. So there's a few things that are super important for pet sitters to do. Number one is just like for any pet owners to have a plan. Have a plan for if something happens to you. And someone else needs to have access to all your files. And there needs to be some sort of a buddy system. If you're a solo, there should be a daily check-in with a friend, a family member, another pet sitter, maybe that owns a business in the same area or something like that, where if you just dropped off the maps, someone would know to pick up from you. Because in that case, someone needs to pick up the pieces that same day, not just in time, like with estate matters with your home and your finances can take months or even years. The care of the animals needs to happen that very day. You could have been on your way to a pet sit when something happens to you. So it's critical that someone knows where you are and has access, whether you have computerized digital files, paper files where your keys are, and has access and can just pick up for you if something happens.
And they also need to know, I've thought about this myself, my friend would need to know my calendar, because I don't always put everything in my software as far as what I'm doing. I try to do most of it, but I think it's important that they know where your calendar is, what sits you're doing, who you're doing. And I wonder, and about this too, I always put the pet's name in my calendar.
Mm-hmm.
So what
Yeah.
if my friend were to look at that? Well, she wouldn't be able to go to my files and look for a pet's name. So that's something to
Right.
think about too.
These are all things to think about. Is we all have our own little systems for how things work.
Mhm.
But think about if someone stepped in and had to do your job tomorrow and didn't know the first thing about it, how would you make it easy for them? So just pretend you're going on vacation or something and someone else is going to take over for you. Logically, how would they look at things? The client's last name would be better to put on a schedule. Having things in alphabetical order. If the keys are tagged with pet names like I do, then that needs to be in the record. This pet name goes with this client name so that someone can easily pick up without, they having to decipher the way that you do things because you just know where things are, you know who the
Mhm.
pets